But yeah, that's awesome. You should have been charging a premium. You deserve that for sure. You worked there for a little while, and I remember seeing you there, just like this fucking big ass Viking motherfucker. Like you just, I could tell when you walk into a place like that, you just know someone knows their shit. I could just see that. So that's why when you asked me to work out for the team, I'm like, fuck yeah, this guy seems super legit. And I feel like a lot of people, are not legit. They just don't know how to properly structure a workout.
Yeah, I mean that's structuring a workout is like the basics of success if you want long-term results. So if you want long-term results, you have to think long-term. So a lot of people listen, if you're going into the gym and you don't have a plan before you go there, you're not doing it right. Period. Stop that and go get a program. You don't have to get one of my programs. You can get ones from Google for free. It'll be better than what you're doing, guaranteed. But you need a program that's going to give you a long-term approach to your goals because that's how it works, right? Imagine me picking up a guitar and being like, you know what? I want to play a Jimi Hendrix song. And I'm just like, what am I going to do today? I don't know. Let me just figure it out. You're never going to figure it out.
Yeah. Everybody's like, ugh, I wish I could lift 600 pounds. I wish I could bench 400 pounds. I wish I could do that. I wish I could. How do you think those people got there?
Yeah.
They didn't just go into the gym and just started lifting with nothing to back that up.
Yeah, it's
they
what do
always
I
had a plan.
What do I need to do to get there? Not what do I want to do. So here's how I would structure a workout. I mean, there's lots of different ways to do it, but this is kind of the general way to do it that most people should be doing. Again, there's advanced techniques and things like that that probably don't apply to you. But you want to go in and you want to start with your hardest movements. So the hardest and heaviest movements are going to be things like your squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press, right? So if you're going into a workout and you're starting with leg press and then going to deadlifts and then the squats, like that's not the right order. Yeah. So start with, I mean, you can, I'm not saying you can't, you're just not going to get as much out of the squats and deadlifts.
Yeah. You're sacrificing some gains by doing
big
that.
time, right?
Yeah.
So you need to start with full body movements. So a squat and a deadlift, let's say, it's not just legs. It's core, it's upper back, it's lats. It's a full body movement. So you need the most amount of energy to do something like a squat. You need this heavy and hard to at or near failure. So for most people, if you don't have a spotter or something like that, I would stick to near failure. So if you could do 10 and you just absolutely could not do 11 no matter how hard you tried, maybe do 9, right? And so I would start with that. Squats, pick 2 main movements. And then you do accessories. So accessories are smaller movements that fill in the gaps of your weaknesses of the main movements. So again, let's say squats. So if you say, oh, I can only do 10. Okay, why can't you do 11? Well, I'm just not strong enough. Well, what's not strong enough? Is it your glutes? Mm-hmm. Is it your quads? Mm-hmm. Is it your hamstrings? Is it your core? Is it like what is not strong enough? And they say, okay, well, it's actually my glutes. Okay, so maybe your main movement is squats and your secondary movement is like more glute focused, hard movement. So something like deadlifts, RDLs, something that's really, really hard. Those are really barbell RDLs. These are hard movements, but something that's going to be still full body, but has more of a slight focus towards your particular weaknesses. So those are your 2 mains. And the next one's going to be, okay, another glute focused accessory, but it's smaller. So maybe you do split squats, maybe you do hip thrusts, maybe you do whatever. The list goes on. You can do like deep hack squats, something like that. But like a hack squat's just not as hard as a regular squat. Pendulum squat. This is where you put in the leg press, something like that. So you're still building the legs. So the first accessory should be the hardest accessory, but not as hard as a main movement. So squats and deadlifts require a ton of core strength, lats, upper back, where hack squats and leg presses just don't. It's just legs. So you could do a really hard accessory first that still has a little bit of a glute focus, and then you go into your just single joint type movements. So maybe pick 1 or 2, depending on the intensity of the workout and the volume of the workout. You pick 1 or 2 movements that say, okay, I'm going to do, if your goal is just to build your glutes, you should be focusing on strength as well.
Yeah.
So you should be trying to build strength in all these movements. And typically, again, there's lots of different ways to do it, but typically the volume is going to get higher as the workout goes on. So if I'm going to squat, maybe I'll do heavy sets of, 5 to 8. And then if I'm going to do deadlifts, maybe similar, 8 to 12. And then my first accessory, maybe same thing, 8 to 12. And then my second and third accessories, maybe I'm in the 10 to 15, 12 to 20 type range. Because it takes less central nervous system to do that. Where if it's like, I'm going to do heavy triples on hip thrusts after doing squats, and like your brain's not going to be there.
Yeah.
So you can do it, but you're not going to get as much out of it. Or you can do it, and your brain's going to be completely blown out. So the next couple workouts for the next day, and the next day are going to be shit, and it's not worth it. Still make it hard. And that's where you put in these intensity multipliers, like adding in pauses and things like that, where you can make lighter weights feel harder on the muscle. And it's just a little bit easier to recover from the joints and central nervous system, all that stuff. Yeah. That's a general structure. So again, these numbers that I made up, like for us, we don't do squats 5 to 8. We do 1 rep maxes. We do that once a week though.
Yeah, every week.
But we know what we're doing. And so we might do a 1 rep max movement, and then we might do a heavy triple or heavy 3 to 5 reps for a secondary movement, and then we go into your 8 to 12 plus. Or maybe 15s, like the volume should be higher up. The further you get into the workout, the more reps you should do, because the weights are lighter. It's just easier to recover from.
Yeah. So
but you're not going to get as much out of it.
Yeah. So if you're walking into the gym and you don't know what you're going to be doing, you're better off just getting a program.
Yeah.
Because you don't. How are you going to structure that, not knowing anything about everything you just said?
Exactly.
The average person just doesn't understand any of that.
And you shouldn't understand that.
Right,
like, this is like what you go to school for. So I have advanced degrees to figure all this stuff out. So at RevUpPerformance.com. But on a serious note, you don't need to get my programs. They're just awesome and they work. But there's millions of programs out there. There's free programs. Just getting on some sort of structured workout is going to help, because the person that structured it has all this stuff in mind. Maybe not as much, depending on if it's free, depending on who writes it, the skill level of the programmer, whatever. But like, there's at least some sort of structure to even a free program that you can get on Google. That's just how it goes. And if you're just winging it day by day, so you need to have that on Monday. You need to have every single day of the week needs to work together with the days previous and the days that are coming up. And that's what a real program is. It's like kind of living and breathing thing that you can make slight adjustments to based on a number of different things. But really, you have to take into consideration what you did days previous and what you're doing in days coming up, because you can't just lift 1 rep maxes every single day. You can, but
that'd be rough.
I wouldn't recommend that, but you can. I've had people do that before. There's like Russian squat cycles and things where you can max every day, 5 days a week for 6 weeks, and your maxes will go up, but it doesn't go up every day. It fucking waves like this.
By percentage?
Nah, you just lift a max, 1 rep max every day.
Every day.
No, sometimes. So there's
what's the rest of the workout?
I mean, you can do some small accessories and things like that, but not a lot. But if you get, let's say my max squat is 100 pounds, and I do that Monday, I hit 100 pounds. When I come in Tuesday and do it again, like, I'm not hitting 100 pounds. I might hit 70. I might hit 75. Then the next day I come in, I'm a little, like, your body's going to self-regulate how much it can do that day no matter what. But that takes really advanced knowing what you're doing. Because if you don't do it the right way, you're going to get hurt.
What would be the benefit of that?
I mean, a lot of Olympic lifters, it's more of an Olympic lifting thing. A lot of Olympic lifters, they squat or they clean and jerk and snatch most days.
Yeah, I remember going to Pinellas Barbell and seeing that a lot. It's like same people in there every day doing the same thing. I'm like,
yeah, they're doing something totally different. But the Bulgarians, so this was like a Bulgarian weightlifting program that the Bulgarians crushed it. They were one of the best weightlifting teams ever back in the 80s. And they would max every single day. That's all they would do. So they would max sometimes up to 4 times per day, different movements, obviously, but they would always max. So the people that, if you have if you have really great technique, it kind of works. But if you don't, you like the burnout rate from the Bulgarians, like the people that made it out the other side won hella gold medals. But there's a pile of dead bodies behind every gym in Bulgaria.
Just think about having to wake up and be like, oh, I get some max again.
I mean, that's essentially what we do. Yeah. I mean, the people hate on my programs all the time, but we max pretty much everything. So we do 1 rep maxes once a week for lower body, once a week for upper body. But we do maxes for speed. We just max different things. We max on our dynamic days. It should be a max speed.
You
So the
definitely can
forces are
adapt
still
to
high.
that. Yeah.
The forces, yeah, you adapt to it.
Yeah.
The forces are still high, so you can recover faster from speed work, even though the forces are higher. But you need way more volume. So we'll do 8 sets of 3, and all the percentages and all this stuff is I didn't figure this stuff out. It was figured out by the smartest coaches ever lived in history on how many reps you can do with different percentages and things like that. And then what do? We do accessory work where we do maxes on that too. So there's just different types of things that we max. And people are like, oh, you can't take everything to failure. It's like, well, you kind of can. You kind of can. If you do it the right way,
How far
you
do you
can.
want to take it?
And when the farther you push things, the more intense you push things, whether it's a set of 1, a set of 5, a set of 20, that's going to give you the fastest results.
Yeah.
But most people, they just don't know how to put things together to be able to continually do that day after day after day after day.
That's why I love putting people through our training. It's always so entertaining.
Yeah,
every
especially
time.
high-level lifters.
Yeah, because they all say the same thing. They're like, oh, I love coming in and hitting a workout with you guys.
Yeah, but I love getting well, I don't love it, actually. I kind of hate this, but I hate it because I want to educate people, but sometimes people, they just have no idea. They're so far away from the truth of what it takes to actually get better. So I got a comment today. It was like, I did a tricep push-down video, and I felt bad because they're like they weren't being dicks about it, but they were just like, oh, like something like, oh, I heard like you should bend your torso a little bit more. And like, I'm really trying to get this horseshoe tricep. And it's like, is that what I should be doing? It's like, all right, do you really think that bending forward 3 inches is the reason that you don't have jack triceps? On a serious note, think about it. Do you think that's the reason? It's not the reason. I'm telling you right now. Spoiler alert, it's not the reason. Yeah. You don't lift hard enough. You just simply do not lift hard enough. You should be at a point where you're just like, you are battling. I don't know if I can even finish this rep. And then you're just, maybe you don't. Maybe you fail the rep. That's failure. Maybe you do make the rep and then you're done anyway. But that's how you grow. Yeah. Now, how do you do that in a way that you don't hurt yourself? Is you can't push through form breakdown. So if I'm doing this and my elbow kicks out, my shoulder, internally rotates or is all round and forward, you don't want to push through that. That's obviously not smart. But if you're just going, well, yeah, that was good. Oh, but dude, I leaned my chest forward 3 inches. Yeah. Why don't my triceps jack? Because you're lifting at 60% of your intensity.
Until fail is what it means is until actual fail, not until you mentally fail, so you actually physically fail the lift.
Yeah, so the reps,
or the movement, whatever you're doing.
The number of reps doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you do a set of 6 or a set of 20, your muscles will grow. It doesn't matter. The same.
I can't tell you how many times how many reps did you do? I was like, dude, I don't even know.
You just go.
But I went until I literally could not go anymore. And I tell you that all the time. You're like, how many do you think you're going to do here? I said, I'm going to do as many as I can.
Yeah.
And I will.
I'm going to go until I can't, because that's what makes you grow. I'm going until I can't. That's what makes you grow.